Hi everyone, I'm Karen Robinson from littlepaperparty.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Australia, and today I have the last, the 12th project in this year's 12 weeks of Halloween series to share with you. And I have a few projects to share with you, and they are going to be last minute, short and sweet, easy to put together things that don't require a lot of materials, because this will be coming out on the 28th of October, so there will only be a few days left, and so anything we're doing now needs to be quick and easy. Okay, we will get started. So the first project I have is really simple, been around for donkey's years. These are little matchbooks, sorry, not matchboxes, matchbooks. So this is the one I have made in other years, and in here I have a smaller packet of lollies. These are just Haribo's little ones, but then I wanted to make something, so I had bought these this year. These are the Skittles packets, and they are too big for this, so I reconfigured and made a bigger one for the Skittles. This is actually what my son, out of all of the projects I have made so far, this is the one that he wants to take to school. So he's taking this to school with the Skittles inside. Yeah, it looks really good. So it's very simple, very quick and easy. You could definitely like dress it up a lot more, add paper and all kinds of stuff, but we're after quick and easy, simple things to make. So we're just going to make this one, but I will also add the directions for this one, the size of the DSP and, the size of the cardstock and scoring instructions as well on the corresponding blog post. But today we're just going to make this one. So I use Smoky Slate for my matchbook because it goes with the colour of the treat I'm putting inside, but you could use any colour you wanted to. And it is cut to 2.5 by 9 5/8 of an inch. So these are really, really simple to make, and it is better to score this one before stamping so you can get your stamps in the right place. So we're going to score it on the long side, and we're just going to score it at 3/4 of an inch, 5 1/8, 5 5/8, and that's it. That is all the scoring. Pop the scoreboard away. You don't need to simply score for that. If you have a trimmer that has a scoring attachment, just use that. Sorry, my scoreboard's trying to fall over. We don't want that. So before I fold and burnish, while it's still flat, I'm going to do my stamping. So to decorate it, I'm using the Celebration Tidings. I'm going to use this big spiderweb image, the spider, and the sentiment Happy Haunting. So I'm just going to grab those. They're already mounted on blocks, ready to go. I'm just using Memento black ink. Once again, you could mix this up, make it a lot more colorful, but I am just trying to keep it quick and simple, so it's one ink color, one kind of thing, so that just makes it a lot faster. So this is the little flap, the 3/4 inch score here, line here. This is going to be the flap that's going to fold up and hold the treat in place. So I'm going to stamp on this bit first, and this just fits, which is lovely. So to have my things going in the same direction, so one of them I'm going to want to stamp this way, and then on the flap I'm going to want to stamp it the other way, and that way both of my spider webs are facing the same direction. It doesn't really matter, but I like it, so we'll do that. So I'm just going to ink it up. I can just feel I just got ink on my fingers. That's all right. Hopefully my head won't get into the shot, and I can get this straight and centered. Stamp that one down. Oh, beautiful. Okay, pretty beautiful. Not perfect, but it's okay. All right, we'll come back over, and I'm going to do the top flap. So I'm going to stamp it the opposite way and just center it as best I can. And then I'm going to add the sentiment underneath. So this is great. Use your grid paper. That way you've got your matchbook straight, which just helps lining up your sentiment, so it's reasonably straight. It's always nice. And now I'm going to add some spiders just to this front panel for a little bit of decoration, which goes nicely with, oops daisy, my whole spider webs. Too busy concentrating on stamping and not making a mess, which I've already done. Some stuff on my finger. I'll wipe that off. Okay, so that is the stamping done. Really quick, simple, easy. I mean, the kids could even do that. Now we're going to just fold and burnish our score lines. There's just 3. Like this. So at the top, I've got a 1/2 inch. So you do need that little bit of depth so your treat will fit in there nicely. So I'm going to grab a stapler. Any stapler will do. Grab my treat. I'm just going to kind of shake it down. So it's not so bad with the Skittles, but with the jelly ones, these kind of ones, you really kind of have to give it a good shake so it's nice and flat at the bottom. Pop that into the bottom of my matchbook. Oh, this one overhangs a little bit. Oh well, it doesn't matter. And then staple it towards the bottom. So, because what is going to keep it closed is this flap is just going to come over, and that is what's going to keep it closed. And yeah, and it tucks in really nicely and it stays closed very well. So the back is completely blank, so your child, if they were taking this to school, for example, could write something, Happy Halloween from Miles, or well, whoever they are, if they wanted to write like a little sentiment, or you could personalize them for different children in whatever group you had. So on my original one, I actually fluffed my stamping a little bit. I had done all my stamping, it was all beautiful, and then my last spider, I accidentally smudged him a little bit. So I decided to use the coordinating dies from the stamp set, the celebration label dies, and then just cut out a bit, which I added on. So I have already die cut them, and I'm going to pop them on with dimensionals. So I thought that is actually nice. It just adds a little bit of extra interest and texture, dimension to it, because this is a very plain monochromatic piece, but it's completely optional. You don't have to do this, and of course not doing it makes it go even more quickly. Oh, I don't think I've got him lined up quite there, but anyway, it's all right. I'll fix him up later. But yes, totally optional. I think it looks just as nice just with the stamping, but if you did want to dress it up a little bit and you had a die set, you can. And of course you could always just fussy cut one, and if I didn't have a die set, I would have done that. I just would have fussy cut around one of the spiders and used that. So this is the first project then. Very quick, simple, doesn't use a lot of materials. You can make 3 of these boxes from one either A4 sheet or letter size piece of cardstock, and this smaller one you can make 4. So you cut off a piece at the bottom, and then you can make 3 across, and then 1 with the piece that you've cut off. So you don't need a lot, and yes, you can make a lot of these with not a lot of materials. So that is the first project. I'll move on to the next one. Okay, my second project is a bit of a classic as well. This is just a very simple lollipop holder, and I have decorated this really simply. Yeah, but I like it. But once again, you could definitely dress it up and add a lot more. So I've got all my bits and pieces here. I'm just going to tip them all out for the next couple of projects. Move some of them out of the way. Okay, so for this one, I've used cinnamon cider for my base. You can use whatever color you'd like. And you need a piece that is 6 inches by 1.5 inches. So once again, you can get several of these out of just one sheet of cardstock. They don't use very much material at all. So I'm going to score this on the 6-inch side, at 1 3/4, 3 1/2, and 5 1/4. That's it for this one. So on the 5 1/4 score line, this is going to make the little flap that's going to fold over. I'm going to just grab a hole punch. Sorry, I'm looking around, I couldn't see where I put it. And this is just a standard hole punch, you know, from the news agency, anywhere, nothing special. Just going to center it, and I am going to punch over the score line just a little bit, so my lollipop kind of stands up a bit straighter. It's not like leaning back, fully leaning back. Doesn't matter if you didn't do that, but that's how I do it. So I'm just kind of punching over it just a little bit. And then before I go scoring and burnishing, I might just add, ink on the back of there, I might just add a little panel of DSP on the front for just a little bit of pattern, a little bit of interest. You don't have to, completely optional. Once again, you could stamp images, however you wanted to dress it up. This is the Plaid Tidings DSP that I've been using the entire time, and this is a great way to use up little scraps of it as well. So the piece of DSP only measures 1 3/8 by 1 5/8, so perfect for scraps. Yeah, and just add a little pop of color and pattern, and it is a very quick way to do that as well. Okay, now I'm going to fold and burnish all my score lines. Just be careful with that, it's still drying a little bit. All right, now I am going to assemble my lollipop holder before I put the lollipop in. I just find that a little bit easy. So all I'm going to do is put some adhesive on this flap. I'm using Tear and Tape. You could use Tombow, you could use any kind of, you know, adhesive that you want. It's not going to be under a lot of pressure. So put just a little bit of Tear and Tape, it's quick and easy. And then when I line it up, I'm not going to tuck it all the way into the score line, because you'll see that the hole that I've made actually kind of hits this front panel. So I'm just going to have it just a little bit up from there so that the hole is completely free. There's nothing obstructing the lollipop getting in there. All right, press that closed. So I'm going to grab my lollipop and I'm going to grab my glue dots. You don't necessarily need glue dots. I just find that they just help keep it in place easier. It will take a full-size lollipop. I only have some Christmas ones, but I thought I'd show you. But it will take a full-size lollipop, and you can just pop that in and then kind of push it up a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to use these mini ones simply because the colors just work. These ones happen to have a black stick, which is perfect. So I've used a mini one, which also works absolutely perfectly. So we're going to grab a glue dot and just pop it on the bottom. And all that does is just keep it in place securely. I might pick it off with my pick. Just to pop that on. So I'm just popping that onto the bottom. I'm going to place my lollipop through the hole. Center it, and then I can just push it onto the bottom. And I guess my idea behind that is if you were going to transport these anywhere, then the lollipops could move around, and especially if you use smaller ones, could potentially kind of slide out. But this way they just stay in place nicely and they're not going to go anywhere. This one's got a bit more wrapping on it. There we go. So to decorate these, I kept it really, really simple again. I didn't add a sentiment. You definitely could. There's room to add a sentiment, but once I'd put my little bit of decoration on, I was happy with that. So I just used these little pumpkin embellishments that are from the Trio of Tags dies. I die cut one out of pumpkin pie cardstock, and I popped it onto a black dimensional, so they just fit onto a full black dimensional. Let me get a whole sheet here. So they will just fit on there. You just need to kind of tuck some of the corners in a little bit. So I just grabbed one of those and I made a, oh, I forgot to grab the ribbon. Just made a little bow out of a bit of ribbon. This ribbon is not Stampin' Up ribbon, it's just from a craft shop, you know, one of the cheap shops that you can get, and it was perfect with these projects. You could use any kind of ribbon, probably just keep it a nice skinny one. But I like this, the black worked well, and then the silver gives me that little bit of sparkle that I want to. So I might put my ribbon on first so I don't get my pumpkin up too high. So I'm just going to, I've already pre-typed my bows. Pop a glue dot on the back there, put that at the top, and I can come back and trim off any, oops daisy, there we go. You could add all the decoration before you put your lollipops in if you would prefer to. You don't have to do that. And now I'm going to pop my little pumpkin, my little jack-o'-lantern underneath, and that's it. I probably would just trim those off just a smidge, but for the moment we will leave it. And that is a really quick and simple lollipop holder. It doesn't use very much at all, and you can make, I didn't actually work it out, but you'd be able to make quite a few of these. At least 5 or 6, I think, from one sheet of cardstock, either A4 or letter cardstock. So I'll move those out of the way. And the very last project I have, which is the quickest and easiest, are little just pencil wraps. Let me bring my little jar in. So pencil wrap, or the skinny glow sticks. Glow sticks. So sometimes you can buy these. I bought these, I think, for New Year's, beginning of the year. They have them just in the supermarkets, you know, the really long skinny ones. You can buy a big packet of them, plenty. So these are also great non-food items, so great for kids with allergies. You don't want them to miss out. The class my son was in last year, there were quite a few children who had allergies, so whenever I would send class treats, I always made sure that I had some non-food options, such as pencils. I know pencils kind of are boring, but kids always need pencils at school, so they're going to get used and they're going to last a lot longer than a treat. And you know, glow sticks are a little bit of fun. And if you had any long skinny yummies as well, like the sherbets, sometimes you can get in the packets of sherbets, long skinny ones. This would work well for them as well. So I used the Everyday Label Punch, which is an annual catalogue for this. Any large tag punch or die would work perfectly for this. So here is my label, a basic black cardstock, and I'm just using exactly the same hole punch. Oops, Daisy. Try not to punch my finger. And just punching a couple of holes in either end. Now, for the glue stick, the glow stick, I didn't need to do anything else. But for the pencil, it's actually not quite big enough, this hole. And I didn't have a punch that was exactly the right size. But all I did was I just grabbed a sharpened pencil and I just popped it in there, and I just kind of worked it through just to make that hole just a little bit bigger. So it isn't quite as pretty. Oh, I hope I don't tear this. I might have done it too close. It isn't quite as pretty as if it was exactly perfectly the right size, but once it's on, you're not really going to notice. So for the pencil, these are a lot thinner and narrower, so I didn't need to worry about curving it. But for the pencil, I would recommend that just give it like a little bit of a curve with your fingers. I tried doing it with my bone folder, but just creased it. It was a bit too small for that, just to help it slide on better. And I am going to decorate this. No, I'm going to put it on the pencil first. So I decided to choose this one with the cool spiders on it because I thought that looked really good. So I'm just going to put this onto my pencil. Hopefully they're all the same size and this works. I don't tear it. Very carefully putting it on. I think I might have punched my hole a little bit too close to the end on this one. But if I do tear it, I'm just going to grab a piece of cardstock and do it again. Here we go. And slide that up. There we go. Beautiful. And now I'm going to add my decoration. So for this, I decorated it in a similar way to the lollipop holder. I did add a greeting to this. I used the Itty Bitty Greetings, which is a 2-piece set, and I just used Trick or Treat. I've already stamped that onto some crumb cake cardstock, just trimmed it out with scissors, and I've added a little bit of scrap of dimension on the back. I have the same pumpkin ready to go. I used just a retired star punch that's in my stash to punch out a little bit of the plaid DSP, another way to use up, a great way to use up scraps. And I have another ribbon with that same bow, with the same ribbon ready to go. This one is a little bit big. I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, so I might pop my ribbon on first. So the first time I did this, when I was making my prototypes, I actually, as glue dots. I actually tied the ribbon around the pencil, which looked really nice, but is a little bit fiddly. But tying the bows separately like this is more economical with your supplies too. It uses less ribbon, so, and looks just as good and is a lot easier to tie when they're just loose, that's for sure, than if they're you're trying to tie it around objects that's wanting to roll around the place everywhere. So I've just popped my sentiment here, a bit of an angle, added my jack-o'-lantern. So I really like using, I know you can't tell because this is obviously on black background, but I really liked using the black dimensionals behind because it filled in his face as well. So, oops, which worked perfectly well. Don't need quite the whole dimensional for my star. And that's it. And I did exactly the same for the glow stick. The only thing is I didn't have to make the holes a little bit larger. So if you have, you know, a better punch, but none of my punches were exactly right, and that was just an easy way around it because I have pencils in my stash. So that is some quick, easy, last minute things that you will be able to make lots of these from your supplies. You don't need to go and buy lots and lots of supplies. A little bit of decoration, great way, like I always keep, if I have little punches like these, I usually keep those in my stash because stars, basic shapes are great. If you didn't have these dies, you might have like other little bats, anything would work, anything kind of, you know, in the right theme, or you could just use the stars too. I mean, punch it out of the right DSP or coloured cardstock, and it kind of gives the whole Halloween vibe or Christmas vibe, exactly the same shape. It's just what colours you're choosing is what makes it appropriate. So I'll pop these here. So here are my little matchbooks, matchboxes. And that is everything. That is the final project in this year's 12 week series. Thank you to everyone who has followed along and left comments. That has been lovely, and thank you to everyone who has subscribed. I wasn't expecting that. I've had a blog for several years now, and yes, it's been very slowly growing, and yes, doing this has been kind of, oh my gosh, there are people subscribing, which it's been lovely. It's been really lovely. It's nice to get that kind of feedback that people like what you're doing, and yeah, and want to see your other ideas that you have. So I would like to wish everyone a happy Halloween. If you do celebrate Halloween, I hope you have a good time, no matter however you're celebrating. I know a lot of places will not be doing the traditional trick-or-treating this year because of COVID, which is a shame, but doing maybe things at home. We'll be just doing some things at home as well. It's a lot quieter here in Australia anyway, so, but yes, we just enjoy it in our own fashion. And yeah, so coming up next, I'm planning on doing a 12 Days of Christmas series, and I'm thinking of doing a video for all of that as well. So, but we'll see, because I will be doing that for the entire month of November. I do 3 posts a week, and yeah, so that would be 3 videos a week if I do that. But I definitely will be doing a 12 Days of Christmas series, and so it'll all be Christmas themed things and not necessarily 3D things. There will be some card projects and gift card holders and kind of ideas for teacher gifts and class gifts and stuff as well. So yeah, so I hope you will come along and visit me either here on YouTube or over at my blog, littlepaperparty.com, and I will see you then. Okay, bye.